Hello and welcome to Outlook on Air. This podcast is designed to keep you connected with all things Outlook, with special emphasis on our enrichment program and its many activities and services. On this podcast, we'll hear from Outlook associates, donors to our many programs, clients of our services, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this edition of Outlook on Air. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Outlook on Air. I'm your host, Dennis Nelson, and this edition of Outlook on Air is our look at tech. It's been a while since we've actually visited tech, and of course, always something going on in tech. Even while I'm talking, they're coming up with new things here, so that's the way it goes. We're going to attempt to take a brief stab at it and get you up to date on some of the newest tech things going on, both with braille displays and talking book players, all kinds of fun stuff coming up here. But first of all, I thought it would be fun to introduce you to our newest tech trainer here at Outlook Enrichment, and that would be none other than Isaac Grelk. And Isaac is going to join us now and tell us a little bit about himself and how he got all involved with Outlook and all that fun stuff. So let's, without further ado, bring on Isaac Grelk, our newest tech trainer. Well, I figured it was about time we get our newest trainer on board here with Outlook on a podcast. So here you are, and why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, that kind of thing.
Sure. So I'm Isaac Grelk. I am an adaptive technology trainer here at Outlook. I've been working here just over a year now. Before kind of getting into all the employment and everything, I'm an Air Force brat. So my dad's retired. He was a lieutenant colonel. So we've moved all around the United States. Was born in New Mexico, jumped to Virginia, Alabama, South Carolina, Texas, Las Vegas, Nevada, and then here. So this is where we ended up. Throughout that time, when I was about 6 years old is when I actually started to lose my vision. And my parents kind of knew something was up. They would put me in, I was in Little League, baseball, and a bunch of different sports, and they noticed, I'm swinging for the ball, but I'm missing it after, I'm swinging after the ball's already gone past. So they knew something was up. They kind of figured, well, maybe he just needs glasses or something like that. Took me to the eye doctor. Eye doctor's like, he's totally fine. There's nothing wrong. So there was a disconnect there. My parents were confused. I was confused. And that continued for about 2 years until we went to a specialist in, I believe it was Alabama. He took one look at me and he checked out my retinas, the back of my eyes. And he was like, yeah, I think I know what he has. It's probably Stargardt's. So it's a genetic eye disease that my parents both just happen to be the gene carriers there. And so when parents meet up, it's a 1 in 4 chance for the kids to have it. So me and my brother both exhibit Stargardt symptoms. 2 of my sisters are carriers of it. And I have 3 sisters, 2 brothers. So one of my brothers, as far as we know, is in the clear, and then the other one, he's also blind. So that's kind of the shakedown there. After that diagnosis, we kind of looked into, what's my education going to look like, all this different stuff. My parents were very, very involved with making sure I had the tools to succeed. So I did have a little bit of help in terms of adaptive tech and stuff in Texas. I had a CCTV. But that was about it. And I just kind of carried that with me in schooling in Las Vegas. I had a few handheld magnifiers, but nothing in terms of community, anything like that. Really the only person I knew who was blind was my brother. He's 4 years younger than me, so he didn't wasn't a part of the friend group. But coming here, I was about 13 when we moved. And I think my mom just saw stuff with Outlook on Facebook and got me involved. So I started coming to different events. Most memorably was probably Camp Abilities that we did. I believe it was 2016 was my first year. That was super cool because it was kind of my intro to Outlook. It was a summer camp with youth. I think ages was 9 to 19 or something like that. I made a group of friends, got to do a whole bunch of really cool activities. We did blind soccer, we did goal ball, canoeing, kayaking, we had paddle boarding, we went rock climbing, like a whole bunch of really cool stuff. Probably my favorite of which was tandem bike riding. Huge fan of that. So that was kind of my intro to Outlook. After that, they kept doing different community events. So we've done zip lining before. Scuba diving was very memorable. So we're doing all this really cool, fun stuff all the time. So that was always neat. Like my friends at school would be like, "Oh, what'd you do this weekend?" I'd be like, "Oh, just scuba diving." They're like, "What? No way!" Like, so it was really empowering because it wasn't just like we're doing normal stuff. Like we were doing like high adventure, cool things. So looking back at it now, I'm like, oh, it's kind of Outlook's way of getting you to realize like you can do more than what you think you can. So it was like really formative for me because it was building a lot of confidence, like both on the social sphere and just personally in general with my own skill set. And I think one of the most helpful ones, we had it was like a weekend long kind of getaway retreat thing. We went over like job skills, like interviewing, just social skills. Like, I mean, we even practiced like a solid firm handshake. It was pretty cool just to do that. We even took a course on like fine dining. So they gave us like a 4-course meal. We got to work on dining skills and things. All that was probably when I was 14 to 16. And then I kind of fell away from Outlook, just getting busy with school and sports and things. I did cross country, swim team, and track. So even though I lost my vision, my parents, were like, "You're going to do sports, you're going to do something." And I was like, okay. So before that, I had done swimming in middle school for 2 years. And then I jumped into that in high school. Real thing that I got into was running. My coach really had no idea how that was going to look. I think he was pretty nervous about it at first. But he ran with me for my first run. We did like 3 miles or something. And then he paired me up with a guide runner. So this was someone who's just going to be responsible for making sure I don't hit anything or run off the course, anything like that. And funny enough, the first run we went on, he fell, not me. So it was a good start. And
Great.
really loved running. So I continued that all 4 years. My guide runner became my best friend. We would do everything together. Did that through high school. Went through college kind of with that running background, liking physical activities, sports, stuff like that. So I went to UNO studying kinesiology. So I did a 4-year program there. My senior year is kind of when I got back into Outlook accidentally because we had to take a class called adaptive sports. So we were working with different individuals of varying disabilities. So there were some with more cognitive impairments, different physical disabilities, and we teach them swim lessons. So having a swimming background, I was like, well, this is awesome. I really liked doing it. I could see like I was making an impact on these kids' lives. So that was really cool to see. And then a part of that class, we came here to Outlook and we toured the facilities. So I got to see the manufacturing floor. Thought it was super cool. I mean, Outlook's mission, just helping those who are blind, low vision, and then seeing everyone, all these workers, running a functioning facility and they're all blind. I was like, that's pretty sweet. And I remembered Outlook's super fun activities that I did when I was younger. And I literally just briefly was like, man, this would be a cool place to work in passing to one of the employees. And I think it was like a week later, I got a call from Nina and she was like, hey, you want to do your internship here? And I was like, well, I just so happened to have to complete an internship. So that works out. I started running their CrossFit program, which I loved because I was working with those with visual impairments, kind of helping them in the physical fitness world, which I was passionate about. So it's like 2 things that I was super passionate about, which is helping those with disabilities and physical fitness were colliding. So I was like, well, this is sweet. Kind of fell in love with Outlook's mission there and I got really behind it. So I was like, well, hopefully I want to work here. So I kind of started poking around, seeing if there were any job openings because school was ending. I was going to be graduating in May. I had a wedding in June. I got married. So there was a lot going on. There was an opening for me, but not working in Outlook enrichment, but actually on the manufacturing floor. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I mean, like, got to start somewhere. And I'm really glad I did because I was able to continue the CrossFit program, but I was also doing the just getting to know everyone out on the floor. I was working one of the machines, which was actually really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Just seeing kind of the operations, everyone's different roles and things, and kind of taking what I saw people working at and applying that to the CrossFit program, because I know like, okay, well, this person's lifting, they're standing on their feet all day, like they're going to be tight in their glutes, they're going to have different things, like, things like that, just observing. So I kept doing the CrossFit program, but I was still looking for like ways I could do more. And it was about that time where a position in Outlook Enrichment opened up for adaptive tech training. Nina brought it to my attention, and it's essentially, I was kind of told it was like personal training with an iPhone. And I was like, well, that sounds like it's kind of in my wheelhouse. Having grown up visually impaired, going through high school, and then really in college was when I kind of self-taught a lot of these adaptive technologies, like looking around what's best to use, what works for me. And so I got really proficient in that. I was able to kind of use those skills, that like the information I had already gathered, and then teach others how to use their iPhone, anything like that. So if a client would come in, I'd be like, oh, I know exactly how to solve that problem because I've been through that before. So then it was a really smooth transition from the floor to adaptive tech training. And then I continued doing the CrossFit programs. And that kind of brings us to here, where I'm full-time in enrichment, still running CrossFit, and loving every minute of it. So,
wow, yeah, you've been one busy guy, that's for sure. And now, when you were going to school, did you what were you majoring in? It, I don't think it was adaptive tech training.
No, so I was getting my bachelor's in kinesiology. And that's literally just the study of motion is what kinesiology stands for, but motion pertaining to the human body. So I took a lot of anatomy courses, some statistics, different like case study stuff that we'd go over. But a lot of it was fitness-based and personal training. So I should mention I also got certified as a personal trainer, I think it was in January of last year. But yeah, that was something I did as well. Yeah, I had a lot of like group exercise courses. So it was a lot of like there was kind of the analytical side of it, and then there was the people skills side of it. And I think I definitely leaned more towards, working with people like closely, personal training or group fitness, anything like that. I really did well at. I liked that the most. I mean, the statistics and studies behind it, they were cool. I like having that information, but I really did like the one-on-one. So that's why I think I like tech training so much, is because you got that personal touch to it, but you get to see the results right away when you're helping someone out. So that's big for me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because, most of what you've been talking about is, physical activity, the more sports, the better and all that kind of thing. I can't imagine how adaptive tech fits into that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes with just health and wellness in general. The more you give people the skills to be independent, the better off they're going to be, like mentally, physically, and emotionally. So if, you teach someone how to use their phone, now, they get to call a buddy up and they can get a ride somewhere, or they, show them how to use the Uber app, or we, offer different, we have different transportation services that we're aware of. We can show people. So then, they're more free in that sense. The emotional well-being is a big deal. Also, just the different programs that we do here with our community events, our bike rides and stuff. It's all, the fitness is really tied into it.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. Now, on the tech side, of course, you mentioned the iPhone and Android phone and things of that sort, but you're also working with Windows, and do you do any Mac training?
Yeah, so that's actually been a big, like even the last 2 or 3 months, I think we have a lot of clients been interested in the Mac. So that's what my personal computer is a Mac. So I have a lot of comfort there. So when I first started working here, it was actually getting like Windows PC skills that I started working on. And I actually was so familiar with Mac, I wasn't too familiar with JAWS. So that was another thing. I got a certification from Freedom Scientific in JAWS and Zoom Text, just to make sure I had the ins and outs of it to be able to teach clients, because I had a general understanding, but I really wanted to get the in-depth view, so to speak.
Well, taking those courses will do it, and congratulations. I went through that with JAWS. I didn't bother with Zoom Text, but I did it with JAWS, so I know what you went through.
Yeah, no, they are extensive for sure.
Yes, they are. Well, that's great. I know that you're, a good JAWS user now, just having gone through those. So, if I had any doubts, I can tell our audience that yeah, you're good because you have to be to even pass that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, good job. Well, great on that. As far as do we do very much here with AI?
Yeah, that's the other really big thing. There's like a few things that I didn't expect to pop up with working here. I thought I'd be like focused voiceover or JAWS or zooming in and out kind of centered, but it's actually been a lot of AI because we have the Seeing AI application that we'll teach all the time. But a lot of our clients, they'll just want to, they'll want to search something up on the web and, you can use voiceover and go to the settings or go to Safari and search that way. But a lot of our clients have really just loved talking to either just Gemini or Perplexity, ChatGPT, any of those, just being able to ask a quick question, get an answer within like 30 seconds, and then you can move about your day or you can get more in-depth answers. So AI has been really big. Even in they're Seeing AI, but even ChatGPT, you can now do the live camera mode and you can point it all around and you can be like, hey, where are the protein bars? And it's like, well, it's on the shelf to your right. You can move your hand and it'd be like, oh, a little bit more to the right. And then you can reach around for it. So that's been, even in the last few months, it just keeps getting better. But the other thing that I was surprised by is a lot of our clients have secondary disabilities. So maybe that's some issues with tremors with your fingers, like they're shaky a little bit, or we have some hearing loss. So it was actually really learning not just the visual accessibility features, but kind of all the other ones, the touch accessibility, hearing accessibility, going over different shortcuts that make things easier. So there was a learning curve there, but now it's kind of like we're trying to work on all things accessibility because they all make things easier in different aspects.
Well, we're certainly using AI a lot here, more than even I expected. And in fact, after we're done with our interview here, I'm going to show some examples of how even just in creating a podcast, AI is becoming a part of that as well. And I think that has surprised even me how much that has happened so quickly.
Yeah, I even use it just to format my different workout plans that I'll do, and I can have it file it for me and organize it. So it's super useful, and it learns from you. So if you have a specific style that you write things in or that you like to plan, it can pick up on that, and it'll make it just that much faster.
Yeah. So besides doing all this adaptive tech stuff that I did before you came into the picture and we started changing jobs and shifting things up here, I was doing what you were doing as far as adaptive tech goes. And now you're not only doing that, but you're doing CrossFit and some other exercise things that still kind of keep you in your, number one thing that you really like doing, right? Which I think is cool. But why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've got a CrossFit program that we run. It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We do offer it to not just employees. Currently, that's kind of our class group. But when I first started, we had several ladies coming in the evening that we would do. So we'd go over like kickboxing, CrossFit, core, strength training, a lot of like aerobics and stretching. So really anything that the client's going to need, I can personalize it. We had a client even in a wheelchair that I would work with, some elderly clients. So it's kind of like just meeting you where you are. That's always my big thing is I don't want to say no. I want to say, yes, let's figure out how to do it. So even if we're just going to start small, just going over basic stretching and, some mobility exercises, then that's fine with me. But yeah, that's always been a constant thing, keeping the CrossFit going. Then it's kind of expanded now into the emotional, like wellness as well. We got the support groups going on. That's been good. I think we're starting to go into the school districts as well, or we're trying to, so we can kind of help students out that, or at least give teachers the skills to work with clients with different disabilities. So that was something we just recently spoke with the Gretna School District, just kind of saying, hey, we're here. These are the services that we offer, whether or not you'd want to kind of introduce us to a potential student and their parents, we can kind of go over our services that way. Or if you just want to say, hey, they have these community events that you can go to. So that's something we're always trying to get out as just like, hey, we're here and we're a nonprofit. Because I actually had a client today. We have a new client that I reached out to. And they were like, well, I'm not sure if my insurance covers. And I was like, oh, no. Like, we're free. We're nonprofit. So, like, it's good to go.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. People can come here and just take advantage of the services that we offer. Being a nonprofit, the door is always open here.
Yeah.
And that's important. And then you also do phone training as well.
Yeah, phone training. I got some clients in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. So, like, all over the country here. And then it's also just more convenient for some clients that maybe they have trouble getting a ride certain days, and we can just call them up. Typically we'll loan them out an iPod or something. We can call that iPod, and then we can hear everything going on their phone. So another thing I wasn't expecting is all the remote training that we can do, but I think that was something we learned from COVID, if I'm not mistaken. It's
yes.
like, oh yeah,
that's when it started. Yep.
So yeah, a lot of things that I kind of haven't expected to do, but have been doing. And then it's, I've been getting more into leadership training. So I think it's like every once a month. Yeah, it's like once a month on a Thursday morning, I'll do a kind of leadership training class with Crestcom. We'll do stuff with that. Yeah, just kind of looking at more of the managerial side of things, like what does getting grants look like? What does it look like to kind of go reach out to different organizations, stuff like that. So I'm kind of excited for that aspect of things, just going out, because I've always felt like people don't know about us, like I mentioned earlier. And it's, I was like, man, but we should just go to different places and let them know we're here.
Sure.
Started reaching out to like senior centers, because there's a lot of people with visual impairments there, or maybe they're looking to do some mobility training, who knows. But yeah, we're really trying to get the word out.
It also sounds like this job is broadening your horizons and giving you more aspects that you never even thought of when you started.
Yeah, I definitely feel more well-rounded. Even having worked on the manufacturing floor, which I never saw myself doing that in a million years, and I liked it a lot. And I just got to see like, oh, this is like keeping this program running. This is how it goes. Even got to work with like some robotics level stuff with when we got the cobot machine coming in, and that is this cool machine we have that grabs the boxes like a little crane, and it'll stack them for you, and it's AI powered and different things like that. So that was really cool to work with.
Yeah, you had to love that.
I did, yeah. So, and I'm kind of like, I kind of call myself a nerd sometimes. Like, yeah, I do the sports things, but I'm huge into like the tech world. I love the latest tech comes out. I'm always trying to get into the iOS betas to make sure, one, so my clients know when the update comes out, like what's going on with my phone. And two, it's just because I think this innovation stuff is really cool. I've been following like all the AI news as close as I can, because I think it's super interesting. I'm interested and excited for like self-driving cars one day. So it's a good time to be a blind person. I mean,
it is. What do you think of the Meta glasses while I've got you here?
Oh yeah, they have gotten better. Even I think the last week they just had an update where you can now toggle. You could say like, hey Meta, what's in front of me? It'd take a picture. It would tell you like there's a water bottle on the desk, and it would be kind of vague. But now you can toggle on a little switch where you can have detailed responses. So it'll be like, there's a water bottle with the name Outlook Nebraska on it, and there's a deck of cards next to it. The King of Spades is on top. Like way more detailed responses. And so that's just a new thing that they just added. And I think it was because the visual impaired community was reaching out and like saying, hey, we want this. And they actually delivered on that. So pretty cool. I have a client actually just got a pair a few days ago, so we're going to start working on those. We have a pair here that we practice with and train on. But I'm a big fan. I actually was very skeptical of them at first, and I wouldn't have recommended them because to me I was like, well, I could just pull out Seeing AI and do that quickly. But then as they've made it better, I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally see this being something like really useful for anyone who's blind.
Well, and they're right on your face. You don't have to pull anything out and, run a separate app. That's what's nice about them.
Totally hands-free. That is really, it's really, and the speaker quality is great on them too.
Yeah, I know they sound great. I was playing with the ones that we have here, and we have several employees here that have their own pairs as well. So that's always nice. In fact, I might even see if we can get our IT guy, Mitch Green, in here with his, or at least to talk about them.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I want to snag me a pair, but we're saving for the baby at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I have the same issues, so I can't get them right now either. But maybe at some point that'll come down the pike. Now that you're doing this and have done it for a while, is there anything about the job that, if you could, and I realize you're not a manager or anything, but anything that you'd like to either see improved or changed or anything like that?
I gotta say, it's gotta be client attendance. And I mean, I love all our clients. They're great. But sometimes it's like doctor's appointment, something came up and we didn't get a notification, like we didn't get notified. Mm-hmm. So I was even thinking we could, I was talking with Kat about this, and it was like, what if we had like an incentive program where we just did like, you get a raffle ticket, or like if you have perfect attendance this month, you get entered into, you could win a $10 movie ticket or something like that. I think could be cool. But I think that's what I'd just make sure clients are notifying us. And then I would say more clients, but they've been pouring in lately.
Awesome.
Which has been really good.
That's great.
So I've been busy. I've been loving it. I didn't get lunch on Wednesday, but I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'd rather be busy. So
sure.
But I don't know. I think Outlook does such a good job taking care of its employees in general. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not too much I'd really change, especially now. I don't know if this is public or not, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but we're trying to get capabilities back. So we're trying to get the summer camp for, I think, ages 9 to 19 is what we're planning on doing. Mm-hmm. So we're working on that for next year. That I'm really excited for. So I think we're going in a great direction. We keep adding stuff. People are hearing about us more. The client that I just got was referred to us from an eye clinic that knew us. So yeah, I think we're heading in the right direction.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic, and can't think of a more enthusiastic person to be doing this kind of thing. And the clients, I'm sure, feed off of that as well and love it. So that is awesome. But I do want to thank you for taking time, because I can tell you how busy you are. It's very hard to get you in here and trapped for a minute so I can talk to you. But I thought it was about time we do that. You've been here, about a year now?
Yeah, like May 8th of last year is when I started. So
wow, yeah. Well, congratulations on both the wedding and the new one and all that fun
all the
stuff.
Exciting things coming on. Bought a house just a few months ago, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that is fantastic. Well, all the best of luck to you as far as the training goes. You probably don't need my help, but if you ever do, you'd get it. So
I'll get my old wisdom. I'll come in.
Yeah. Well, it was fun having you here today, Isaac. I really appreciate you stopping by, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Outlook on Air.
Well, that little jingle that you just heard is one of the many ways that AI plays a part in even podcasting, as Isaac and I were talking about earlier. And in a future edition of Outlook on Air, when we get around to doing tech again, I want to have the guy who actually helps create those little jingles, Fred from AIJingleMaker.com, on our program to discuss how that is all done and all that kind of thing. But he is vital in helping me create the jingles that we want to insert into the podcast from time to time. So we'll get to that in a future podcast. Couple of extra notes that I can pass along to you here on a technical aspect. NLS, the National Library Service, has recently released their latest talking book player, their digital talking book player. And what makes this one so neat is that finally you can use the actual player to download books from the web. And once you get it set up, it's very, very easy. Even the setup is pretty easy for many of us, but some of you might have difficulty, but I'm sure someone can help you out if you find yourself in such a situation. For that matter, our training department here can help you do that if needed. So no big deal there. But the player is really cool because, again, the biggest thing that it does is downloads your books for you right onto the player. So you don't even have to have special cartridges or anything anymore. You can just go to the Bard website, essentially, and download the books right to your player. So it's a very, very cool thing to do. You might want to check with your regional lending library and make sure that you get a copy of their newest player, their digital talking book player. They will ask you for your old one back, but they're not even rushing that. They're giving you several months to try out the new player and see if it works for you, and I truly cannot imagine why it wouldn't do so. So that's one of the newer tech things that's going on. Of course, iOS 26 has been released. We'll be talking a little bit more about that as the podcast continues. I am still working in the background, for those of you who are hanging on to every word here, to see if I can get someone from Instacart to actually talk to me about their new service for seniors. I have some questions that go deeper than just your average questions. I'd like to ask them, for example, what if somebody who is totally blind and 30 years old calls them and needs some assistance? Will they help them at all or not? I'm guessing not, but I don't know. So I want to find out from someone in authority on that one. I'm still working on that, and if I can ever get a decent answer, or preferably somebody on the phone to give us that answer, that is what I'm looking for. But they do have a new service at Instacart where you can call them and take advantage of their senior helpline, and they will even order the groceries for you and everything else if you can't do it yourself. So it's a very, very handy service. Right now, though, I want to bring on Mickie Saltzman. There's a name that many of you know. Mickie has worked with us for a long time here at Outlook, and now he is working for the Commission, Nebraska Commission for the Blind, and he stopped by the other day to show off a Braille display, one of the newest ones, and he's going to be talking about that and also give us some background on what he has been doing and how he's been doing it and all that kind of thing. So let's welcome Mickie to the program. Well, Mickie, of course, a lot of people know you very, very well from your work here, and also, of course, you've been on some podcasts with us, but they were done at the Radio Talking Book. So let's take just a moment while we've got you here to maybe get a little background, if we could, on you, and for people who are listening on this platform and not hearing you on maybe prior podcasts and that sort of thing. So why don't you tell us, are you an Omaha native or not?
I grew up in a small town called Milford, Nebraska. Grew up, kind of went to a private Christian school when I was younger. And then in 96, 97, I ended up going to the Center for the Blind in Lincoln, where I learned a lot of my independent living skills. And then spent a few years, of course, like a lot of people, was looking for a job. I should back up and say I'm totally blind. I was born, basically the retinas didn't develop. And I should also mention, when I was about, 8 or 9 years old, I think it was, my parents noticed that there was something different about something else that was kind of different. I was looking away or looking towards one side, and they finally realized that I had a hearing disability. And so that was that was a hard thing for me. I had to deal with that. The blindness, I've been blind all my life. So I'm thinking, no big deal. That's, I don't know any different. But with the hearing, it's definitely been a challenge, and it's been something that I've had to deal with and get used to. But I did go to the training center, and then, of course, learned a lot of my independent skills, like I said, and then got out and attended Southeast for a while and got my degree. Actually was in programming, associate applied science degree. My focus was in programming, and thought I might sit behind a desk and code, but as it turns out, kind of had some other ideas. And
Yes, indeed.
Making a long story short, I came to Outlook, Nebraska in 2006. So that was quite a time span, just looking for work and going to college. And at the time I was living in Lincoln, and of course, I met with Eric Stucraft, and what happened after that? Pretty much, I moved up here to Omaha in 2007, and I've been with Outlook, Nebraska now up until about 2022, I think.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
Yep.
And now, of course, you're working for the Commission.
Yes.
And so why don't we start there? Well, first of all, I guess before we start there, let's talk about what you did here at Outlook, because you did a number of things here.
Well, Dennis, I credit Outlook with really giving me the opportunity. And they did. And I started out as a finisher on the floor, called the Finisher 2, I believe, doing running the wrappers, doing the job. I enjoyed it. I love that. Of course, that first paycheck everybody likes, but
yeah,
just working here. And I got to tell you, Dennis, even Ben, just to tell you, been away for a couple of years. I really miss the culture here. I love what you have here. There's nothing, it is really true when we talk about the culture, we talk about the family atmosphere. And that was really tough for me when I left. But I was here on the floor working for a number of years. And then, late Doug Wampler gave me an opportunity, who was running the program at the time, the enrichment, really gave me an opportunity to come here and do some training, because he's like, you have some training skills. Why don't you come here and work with us and in training some clients? And I really enjoyed that. And so that was my start. And it went to quarter time, part time, and then full time. And I really loved it. Like I said, I love the people and hoping, as you know, in technology training, there's different little situations you got to solve every day, it seems like.
Sure.
And I've really enjoyed it. And so, but then I did have an opportunity to come to the commission, because I did hear that the position opened up as a technology specialist. And like I said, it was a very tough decision for me, but I did come to the commission. I've been with the state now for about 3 years. But Outlook will always be my home and my family. And I love you guys so much, and it was great to be back here again today.
Well, that's great. Yeah, that's why we wanted to get you back in here and give you a chance to talk about, not only what you did, but also what you're doing now. And maybe we can start there. What would you say are the biggest differences between the commission and versus Outlook? We're both serving blind and visually impaired clients and that kind of thing. But what are the differences between the two?
Well, it's a little different framework. I mean, I am still doing the same thing. I do a lot more. We do, as a commission. The commission's been around a long time. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of purchasing technology. I do a lot of technology assessments. I did some of that at Outlook too, but it's a little different. It's just working for the state. But really, the main thing is, we get a chance to work with a lot of different demographics, people, a lot of different technology. Some of it, obviously, but again, being in the same demographic, I don't do a lot different than what I did for you guys here. Mm-hmm. It's just maybe a little bit more, and going out into the community a little bit more than what I did. But again, I understand you guys are expanding too, so this is so wonderful to hear. And again, at the end of the day, our goal is serving the blind, and if I can help make somebody's day easier and help somebody solve a problem, that's always something I appreciate. So a lot of it's the same. It's just, a little more business trips. I'll say that. Not that I necessarily like that, but I go out a little bit more to different technology conferences and things. And so it's been, a little different on that end. But again, all in all, still the same thing.
So I suppose the biggest difference we could say between the two agencies is that the commission is state funded, whereas Outlook Enrichment here, we rely on donations and that sort of thing, and funding, and then our other Outlook entities help us in some ways as well, but a lot of the budget falls on us.
Yes, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, we are state funded. Again, there's always concerns there too.
Sure.
With government cuts, and we always got to watch that. But yes, it is a state agency. We're statewide. And so that makes us a little bit different. And one of the things here at Outlook, you guys do a lot more. The consistent training, schedule training, and so we don't do as much of that. Ours is a little more of a distance, but we're still serving people, but it's just a little different demographic.
Well, sure. And I suppose you're also getting your mitts on a lot more and maybe even newer technology than we can always afford to get immediately, I suppose, in some cases.
Well, yes. Certainly, as we always try to keep ourselves up on what's going on with new technology. And like I said, I mentioned I've been in California about every 2 times now. I've been to the CSUN Technology Conference. really in Anaheim, California. It's been a great experience to be able to go out and just kind of look at new vendors and people who are dreaming and have new ideas and collaboration, and that's always a good thing, But again, ultimately bring it back to not only the agency but the community, but even here, and so it's been great.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do all the walking that would be involved with CSUN, but I'd sure like to go, and I wish I could have gone when I was younger.
Yeah, it's a fun technology conference. Again, there's a lot of new ideas, a lot of new technologies that you get a chance to kind of experience, and a lot of dreamers.
Sure.
What about the future? What is going on with the future?
Sure. So how do you feel tech is going at this point? Of course, iPhone, Apple just released their iOS 26, which is a big deal. And maybe you can even get us up to speed. I'm sure Android is also in that process. I know they both are pretty competitive. Any new tech news that you can share with us?
Well, certainly I know, we're a lot of excited about the new iOS 26, some of the new updates for VoiceOver. There's some, for example, like the ability to be able to put multiple items on the clipboard now. So you can, let's say, for example, somebody sends you a text and, maybe they have a phone number or maybe there's another link in another text. And before you could just do the 3-finger quadruple tap and put one item on the clipboard. Now you can do multiple items. And so that makes it really handy. And you got a new rotor item now where you can just paste different items in the in the edit boxes or whatever, and so that makes it really, really neat. But yeah, there's a lot of new features, and of course Android, we're still trying to keep up with that. Of course, Dennis, you guys talk about this a lot. AI is just changing so much.
I was just going to ask you if you were using AI a lot in your position, but I wanted you to finish before I did that.
Yeah, I had to be honest with you. There are certain aspects of AI that I kind of drag my feet out a little bit.
Don't we all?
I mean, it's wonderful and it's great, but there are certain aspects that are almost kind of scary.
Sure.
When it comes to, but I know, like, for example, I love for example, we look at JAWS for Windows. I know you guys have talked about that before. That how they're using AI in the program itself.
Yes.
Which is really exciting, and how it's really opening up the doors for those of us that deal with inaccessible websites or things like that, of that nature. That's really, that's pretty important what they're doing. And of course, we all talk about the wearables, the Meta glasses are really, I'm very impressed. I have to say, a lot of new updates with the Meta glasses, with the Meta AI app itself, and, with extended descriptions, or I can't remember what they call that. Yeah. You can get better descriptions. Meta is reaching out to the accessibility world, when it comes to that. And so I really see the future in wearables. I think a lot of people, they're affordable. I can't tell you how many clients are requesting them. We do purchase them for our clients, and they're really taking off in a big way. The Meta glasses.
And they're very aggressive with their update schedule, from what I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like for sure every year, if not more than that, there are new versions coming out.
Yeah, I've discovered that here as well. It seems like every time I have someone in here that I'm interviewing, when we get on the subject of Meta glasses, they're telling me a new update just came out yesterday, that kind of thing. So they're apparently doing an awful lot in the update department. So that's kind of neat. Yes. And then also, I know that you do a lot with Braille displays. What's happening in the Braille display world?
Well, I actually brought with me today the Monarch. It's a Monarch. It was made by Humanware along with APH, American Printing House. It's a 10-cell Braille display. It's actually what they would call a tablet, really our first generation tablet. And this thing allows you to do tactile graphic design or graphics. You can load in graphics. You can create tactile graphics with files. We're pretty close now to being able to take a JPG file and actually put it into a graphic, a tactile graphic form. The tactile graphics that you would fill on the Braille displays are a little bit different than what you would see on a normal graphic. You don't have as many. Obviously, we don't have. It's 10 lines with, I want to say, 32 Braille displays of cells across. So you have 10 lines of Braille and like 32 across. So it makes it a nice setup. And of course, with that allows us to do to look at tables in Braille. I'm a big Braille advocate. I've been using Braille ever since I was 6 years old. And so being able to have that at your fingertips and, being able to look at like a spreadsheet in Braille, it's pretty neat. And again, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's to come as far as, it has your typical programs. It's a Android running in the background, but essentially it runs a lot of your same programs.
Yeah, very neat. Is it pretty portable?
Yes, it is fairly portable. Now, it's not like a light note taker. It's a little bit more heavier and bulkier than that, but you can carry it around, and it has a case, and it's in a case, and it's pretty durable. I mean, they say you can even drop it if not that we advocate dropping it, but
no,
it can be. It's pretty portable, and it has like a membrane on the top of the display. It's very interesting. It's kind of like a thin plastic, or it's not exactly plastic, but it's kind of called the membrane that kind of you essentially it goes over the Braille display, and you can get it wet. Although again, I don't advocate spilling anything on it, but
right.
You can get it wet. They have before, and it's very durable that way. So yes, it is somewhat portable. Again, I would as a full-fledged note taker, and I would say probably no, not that kind of portability, but I think it's definitely you can carry it around.
That's neat. That's very neat. And let's talk about, it's going to come up eventually. How about price? How about price-wise? Is it expensive? Is it cheap? Where does it fit in that category?
Well, right now, the price is around $18,000. Mm-hmm. So they're not cheap, and especially if you're looking at spending money on other things, you wouldn't necessarily think, $18,000, I can spend it on a Braille display, right?
Sure.
So it is a little more expensive yet. And, we look at a lot of times for math, people who are heavy math users, heavy Braille users, we've looked at maybe programming students who might qualify for something like this. So it's not like, your person who's doing note taking or who's, your average Braille user, I guess, probably wouldn't find us a device like this very, especially with affordability, not very affordable, but it is something that, for people who really love Braille and who, and I think this is a future thing that we're going to see more people, being able to purchase it down the road as it gets more, and then maybe even more affordable as well.
Well, and if nothing else, a lot of companies could get it for people who need Braille as part of their work.
Absolutely. And, it's definitely something that we do purchase for some students. We have purchased it for some of our students who are, again, really dominant with Braille, and they love, they love math and maybe programming and other things that they're really going to get heavy use out of the Braille display. We do purchase it for some of our students.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's nice. I'm looking forward to taking a look at the one you brought out here. Now, Do you do a lot of that, taking the Braille displays or any of the tech items that you work with? You take them to clients? Is that what you're doing now?
Yes, we can do that. Clients. In fact, I just not too long ago just went out to visit with our TVIs, folks in public schools who are working with kids who are visually impaired. We've gone out there to visit with them, and we've been able to take some of the technology out there and show them how that kind of thing, how it works and some of the possibilities that, that they have. So, yes, we are trying to get around and again, showing this stuff. And like I said, great to be here today.
Well, we're happy to have you. Anything else that you would like to say? Anything I've left out in this discussion?
I want to say that I loved to collaborate with you guys, and we love working together with Outlook. And I want to say, whenever your last support group was public meeting, Alex France, who's our orientation counselor, brought me out here, and I was really excited. It was really neat to see what you guys are doing over here. And I can tell you that we at the commission are watching and are excited about what's going on at Outlook. So.
Well, and we love what you're doing too, and hopefully the whole idea I know there is to have even closer cooperation and that sort of thing between the two places, because we're all really trying to do the same thing.
Yes,
when you come right down to it. So. From that perspective, we're looking forward to a long-term relationship down the line at some point. So
absolutely,
that's why I wanted to get you here today and try to help live up to some of that. So
It's very exciting and great to be here, and I love what you guys are doing with this podcast, Dennis. You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you, sir. And again, thank you for coming on, and we will be talking to you, I'm sure, down the road. You'll probably be back.
Absolutely.
Thanks a bunch, Mickie.
Thank you.
Keeping you informed with all things Outlook. Outlook on Air.
For our final tech tip this time around, Good Maps, which many of you may remember I reviewed quite extensively on the Radio Talking Book version of our podcast back when they were helping us out, has now changed its name to Indigo, and they have integrated their Good Maps Outdoors with their Good Maps Indoors. It gets kind of confusing, but it's all one app now with various settings if you're using the indoor maps and the beacons and all that fun stuff that everybody'd love to have every building have. If you're doing all that, it's great because it's all in one app now called Indigo, Indigo, and yeah, we're going to probably have to revisit Indigo at some point and do a Good Maps review on a future tech podcast, but we'll get to that in time. But that is the very latest from the Good Maps, folks. They are now known as Indigo, in case you didn't know. Well, folks, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this edition of Outlook on Air, but we certainly hope you've enjoyed the program. We hope to see you back here again for another edition of Outlook on Air. And if you'd like more information about Outlook Enrichment, or anything Outlook for that matter, make sure you visit our website at www.outlooken.org. That's www.outlooken.org. Or you can always call us for more information or to schedule any kind of an appointment at area code 531-365-5051. That's area code 531-365-5051. And don't forget to subscribe to our monthly newsletter so that you can find out when the next podcast is available. And we hope to see you then on the next edition of Outlook on Air.